Chapter 87. The earthy yellow sun of the third day climbed up into the dark red sky. Once again, it should have been another stinking and peaceful day. But Lin Kun and Shang Xihans in the massage parlor were in a panic, because Heisha was gone. They searched every corner of the massage parlor. They could even feel that Xide's blood on the bed had been chilled by the wind, but there was no sign of him at all. At the deepest part of the corridor, that native was still massaging the mummy, which made people feel rather uneasy. He's gone. Xiang Xihans looked in the direction outside the door with a sense of loss. Just as he himself said, he's tired and has given up. No, no way. Lin Tian felt it was hard to believe. Maybe he was so worried about the two of us that he went to participate in the games by himself. All 20 pieces of towel are here. Shang Xihans picked up the small cloth bag on the bed and waved it at Lin Tian. Heisha didn't take a single piece of towel with him. How could he participate in the games? Lin Tian was at a loss for words for a moment and didn't know what to say at all. Where could Heisha have gone? He was injured now and didn't have any towel on him. What could he do with his seriously injured body? Lawyer Shang, are you willing to participate in the games with me? Lin Tian calmed herself down and said slowly, just the two of us? Shang Xihans was slightly taken aback. Are you confident? I'm definitely not as strong as Heisha. So we'll try to find some human-level games. If we win, we'll make a profit. 众人似乎发现了秦夏的异样，只是个骗子。We won't lose our lives. If Heisha can come back one day, we also have enough towel to take him back in. After hearing this, Zhang Xihans thought for a moment and then nodded. Could Heisha come back? There were only 7 days left until annihilation. TXIA's injuries would only get worse in the next few days and couldn't possibly heal completely. Could he really come back? The two of them packed up their things and walked out of the massage parlor facing the brand new sun. Kaizhou was staggering along the street with the map drawn, with blood in his hand. He had never thought that excessive blood loss would make his hands and feet disobedient. He was already sweating profusely after just walking for over an hour. He looked down at the map in his hand, knowing that it was his last hope. Heaven's Gate. After 3 days of probing, Heisha had a general idea of the situation here. Trying to collect 600 pieces of towel in these games was no different from reaching for the sky from where one stood. After all, the rewards of each game were too meager, even though in human-level games, one could expand the gains by gambling with the Chinese zodiac signs. There was no chance to gamble with one's life in Earth-level games. Participants would encounter fatal dangers in the games themselves. In other words, whether it was human-level or Earth-level games, if one wanted to obtain more gains, one had to be willing to risk one's life without hesitation. The most dangerous game Kaizhou had seen so far was the black bear hunting game by the Earthox. If it hadn't been for Qiao Jiajin and Jiang Shan's presence, it would have been an almost certain death game. However, in such a dangerous situation, each person could only get 20 pieces of towel at most. If Kij or Ili wanted to collect towel by participating in games, then for a game as dangerous as the one by the Earthox, he would need to participate in 180 consecutive games in a completely victorious state. How many people would die during this period? And how many injuries would there be? What confidence did he have that he could hold on until the last moment? Kaizhou had calculated all night, but couldn't figure out the probability of his own survival. After thinking it over and over again, only Heaven's Gate was the best place to go. Jiang Shan had once said that they had seen someone escape from here and had also found the notebook of the East Copper. Now, the notebook was in the hands of Chu Tian Qiu, the leader. Heisha followed the map left by Zhang Shan at that time and kept moving forward. Finally, he arrived at the headquarters of Heaven's Gate. It was an abandoned school. Since the school's plaque was dilapidated, Heisha couldn't tell whether it was a primary school or middle school. All he could see were the teaching building and the basketball court that came into view. A man was standing outside the school gate. staring warily at his surroundings. He was wearing a sports vest and had his hair tied in a braid. He looked as if he was only 15 years old. Tija tightened the bandage on his shoulder again and walked towards the young man in front of him. Seeing someone approaching, the young man became more vigilant. Good man, good man. Tija felt that the man's accent was a bit strained, but he could only nod and say, I'm a good man. You need help like that? The man in front of him not only had a strange accent, but also strange grammar. Tija thought carefully for a moment and then said, I want to see Chu Tianqiu. I see brother Chu. The man frowned slightly. May I ask what your name is? Tija. The young man thought for a while, nodded at Tija. 众人似乎发现了秦夏的异样，只是这个骗子。Brother, just wait a moment. Then he walked into the school gate, locked the gate, and then quickly ran in the direction of the teaching building. In the classroom at the southernmost end of the first floor, a man wearing a black shirt and glasses was writing something on the blackboard with a swish. Swish. Not far from him, an extremely beautiful woman was sitting in her seat painting her fingernails. Sister Yunyao. The young man with the braid called out at the door. Come in. Yunyao didn't even raise her head and said casually. The young man pushed the door open, looked at the two of them. He said to the man in the black shirt, Brother Chu, there's someone outside who wants to see you like that. Chu Tianqiu continued writing and asked casually, What's his name? Tija. Tija. Chu Tianqiu stopped what he was doing with his hand and then moved 2 steps to the left. He was looking for something among the dense words on the blackboard. Soon, he found that line of text. Number 87. Liar. Springing up like bamboo shoots after a spring rain. Death from the sky. Cunning snake. He drew a horizontal line under this line of text and then lowered his head, thinking about something. What's the matter? Yunyao beside him asked. Have you heard of this name? This is an extremely powerful figure. Chu Tianqiu smiled. The 3 Chinese zodiac signs in charge of the interview for No. 87 are all people with 1 foot already in the earth level. What kind of game do you think they would design? Yunyao was also slightly taken aback after hearing this. Wouldn't that be an interview where everyone died? No. Chu Tianqiu shook his head. Because this young man named Keizhou. 9 people survived this interview. Everyone survived? Is there such a thing? Yunyao raised her bright eyes and looked at Chu Tianqiu. Suddenly, she thought of something. Tija, isn't he the good man that Little Glasses has been talking about these 2 days? The young man with the braid seemed to understand something and nodded, saying, Brother Chu, I'll bring the person in right now like that. No. Chu Tianqiu reached out to stop the young man and then said, Jin Yu on XUN. Help me ask him a question. A question? Yes. Chu Tianqiu nodded. Help me ask that man named Keizhou, on which day did you come here? Brother? But if I go to ask him a question, will he not understand like that? It doesn't matter. You can just take this opportunity to practice your Chinese. Chu Tianqiu said with a smile. The young man named Jin Yuan XUN was a bit puzzled, but he knew that Chu Tianqiu always thought carefully, so he could only nod and go out the door. I don't quite understand. Yunyao dried her fingernail polish and then screwed on the cap. You clearly said that the one named Keizhou is an extremely powerful figure, but you're not planning to take him under your wing? Chu Tianqiu smiled slightly. Yunyao. This is exactly kings shall not meet.